All right, everybody. It's Adam. I am the host. Yeah. I'm the big cheese. And we got Tyler, who is the originator of Street Tales podcast. And he asked me, we're out here in LA. We're going to do an interview of him. I kind of pushed him to do this, I'm going to have to say, because he thinks he has a boring story. And I don't think it's boring at all. I think it's as cool as shit. So I just want to give some background. I like to talk. That's why I just met Tyler. We worked at the same federal agency. I just met him in January and we just clicked, and he's like, I do a podcast too. I'm like, okay, I don't listen to podcasts, but then he had me on it and now I'm hooked, and it's fun as shit. So
yes, it is.
All right. So we got Tyler. Tyler, just do like you asked me, like, how'd you grow up and how did you become a cop?
One, just got to give appreciation. We're at the Village Studios out here in LA.
It's so fucking cool.
Good friend, so cool. Jeff Atina, who just came and said hello. Rock stars, right? I told you it was rock star energy, baby.
I feel so fucking LA out here. It's so cool.
Absolutely. It's hard for me to talk about myself, I guess, because like you were in like combat, and you know, you've done for me like shit that I'll never even be able to understand, but appreciate. So kind of when I say that, that's what I mean by that. Like, no, people who've done those things.
We always say this. It's like I was in the right time at the right place. You've done a lot of cool shit, dude.
All right, well,
a lot of cool shit.
We'll get into it. We'll see how it goes. So I was made in Japan. I've got a tattoo.
Wait, made
Okinawa. Oh. Both of my parents, mom and dad, were both Marines, or are both Marines. Once Marine, always a Marine.
Well, they're retired.
Yes,
they're retired.
Yes, they are. And so made in Japan and born in Cherry Point, North Carolina, on a military base. And I basically just bounced around from one base to the next for most of my childhood. So I lived almost every state in the South. Might be missing a few. And my parents divorced when I was very young. I was 2, I think.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, like Marines in the 80s were like $16,000 a year salary. I don't know. So,
because they were both, I think they retired as like master sergeants or sergeants. Yeah, they I
don't know what level. So yeah, I should probably know that.
Yeah, they were enlisted guys, and the money wasn't. I mean, it's still not that great now, but like in the 80s, it really wasn't that good.
Correct. So I did not grow up, with a silver spoon in my mouth. I remember many a time living in a trailer, and we would eat rice maybe 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and dessert would be rice with a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on it.
Do you still like rice though?
I still love rice. Right, and so rice with cinnamon and sugar is still amazing. And for those who grew up on bologna, you grew up on bologna when you got to pop the bubble in the middle. So that's kind of how I grew up. I just bounced around. Again, I try not to harp on it, but when you're shopping at Goodwill and stuff, when you start going to school, kids make fun of you a lot. So I got made fun of a lot. I was not always a big kid. And I was, I had a rough go until about 6th grade when I learned that I enjoyed sports. And that's when I started getting some weight behind me. So I played the big 3, baseball, basketball, and football. And that's kind of when I came into my own.
With football, right?
Football. Well, my dad says I was a better baseball player than a football player.
Oh, really?
That decision. So I played all 3 all the way through high school until my senior year, when my coach was like, listen, I can guarantee you a scholarship in football. I cannot promise you anything in any other sport. So you need to pick one. And I picked football.
And so this was senior year,
high school, yeah.
Okay.
So I dedicated that year to high school football, which, funny enough, I was completely ready to join the Marines. Like I just was going to be my career path. And this was one of the few times both of my parents were in agreement, and they both said, listen to me right now. You're going to go to college, and if you still want to be in the military, you'll be an officer. But like they both were like very adamant. I was like, okay, I'll listen to them. And so, I ended up going to play football for Tennessee State, a university in Nashville, Tennessee.
So, okay, I want to delve into this, and if you don't want to talk about something,
go ahead.
Tell me how many other colleges were looking at you.
So I went on 7 recruiting trips. I don't even know if I remember them all. It was Georgetown, NC State, Michigan State, Tennessee State, and USF.
Okay.
That's 6.
Did they all offer you scholarships?
So the answer is yes, but I didn't know this at the time. They would offer you 2 years, and then you had to earn the rest. I
remember you.
Which I guess is very normal. I didn't know that. TSU said, we'll give you 5 years right now. Boom, sign on the dotted line.
And you're like, yeah.
The 5 years, that's great. And they played in Titan Stadium, and it was a big college. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go do this 5 years. Yeah. Cause my whole thing was like, I never thought I was like going to go pro or anything like that. I just was like, I always was going to use sports as a way to get my degree.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Because, I mean, what's the percentage of guys that go play D1 ball that go pro?
It's still very low. I don't know the stats.
Probably single digits.
Yeah,
right?
It's not very high.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was good, but I never thought of them like that good, right?
Yeah.
You know, you see the people playing, you're like, Jesus. And then even when I went to college, I was talking to my buddy Monte about it. And so the first 2 weeks when you go to college for football, you get there, you practice 2 weeks before anybody else gets there. They're just trying to break you in, get used to
as
the speed.
Incoming freshmen.
Yes. We thought we were hot shit. We're all, preseason All-American, from high school, we were all the, captains. We were all the best players on our teams, but that's everybody that's there, right?
Yeah.
And so we thought we were hot shit. And then I remember the rest of the team, especially the seniors, came in. I was like, holy shit, these are grown ass fucking men.
Yeah.
I was humbled very quickly. I think because I played tight end and defensive end, and I remember the starting tight end I was like, hey, Tyler. He's like, yeah, cool. He just gave me his pads and his helmet. He goes, hurry up, go. And I like orange Gatorade or whatever. And I was like, oh, it was just like that fast.
Yeah. So you
dismissed.
Yeah. You were treated like, yeah.
100%.
How long doing that till they like accepted you?
I would say that year I redshirted my first year. So I didn't travel with the team, but this is a little embarrassing. I was 3 months into my college career before I realized it was a historically black college.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. I didn't even realize it until I remember one day I was looking around. I was like, huh, I am the only white guy in here.
Apparently when Tyler went to college, he did not hear of a thing called the internet at the time.
No, I just was like football, whatever. And I can't remember most of the time I was the only white guy on the team. We had a quarterback come one time and we had an offensive lineman come, but it was sporadic. It was, it wasn't consistent.
Okay.
But I was, and this is the other thing I knew. My recruiting class there was 25 of us. Only 6 of us graduated at TSU, which is very normal. People would go to other colleges or they drop out or life or whatever, right? Shit happens. And so that's why a lot of the bigger, I say bigger, but a lot of other colleges would say 2 years to earn the next 2 because they didn't know where you're going to be. And this was all before the transfer portal and all that shit. There was none of that.
Really quick, let me do at that time, did like all the big school, even like, like Alabama, Miami, UCLA, they all did the 2-year scholarship?
That's typically, yeah.
Yeah, because my buddy played at UMass and it was 1 AA, but he got a 5-year ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Again, now it's so different. I mean, you got kids coming out of high school with NIL deals and I mean, like they're getting, they know where they're going their sophomore year. I mean, this crazy shit that's going on now. It wasn't like that when I was going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm torn on that because it's like, you're making money off this kid.
Mm-hmm.
But then like now, like they're not really amateurs anymore. They're going into college as a profession.
Some of them are making more money in college with NIL deals than they are in the NFL. I mean, it's crazy money.
But it's like, I can understand why it started because the NCAA, and people, I don't know anything about sports, so I put that out. But like the NCAA and the colleges, they were making money off these kids in the 90s,
hundreds of millions,
and like they're like, hey man, like you're using my likeness in this video game.
Yeah.
I want dude, I'm sorry. I agree with the kid.
Yeah. I was in NCAA football 2004.
Can you get backdated retro pay?
It would be like 15 cents probably, but it is what it is. I will say my jersey sold very well because I was the only white guy on the team.
Yeah. Let's talk about how did that how was that being the only white dude on the team? Like, I mean, from what you told me, you said it was like they treated you like one of their football player.
Honestly,
they didn't care.
Honestly, I loved it. I used to give them shit all the time. Like, I don't know what you guys worried about being the only one sometimes because I was in all the highlight reels. Sometimes I'd be in the same highlight reel twice. They really leaned into it, so to speak. And everybody knew exactly who I was because I was the only one. I stood out. Yeah,
and I mean, from the times I talked to you, you had the time of you loved.
Yeah, I did.
You loved the football team. Yeah. How was it like at the with the rest of the college? Like, when you would go into a class and they'd be like, "Sir, you're at the wrong school." Would you ever get that or no?
So no, but I didn't know this till my senior year of college. I didn't realize this. There was a group, mostly different fraternities that took issue with me because also part of having all the attention is a lot of the females. They got a lot of female attention, right?
Now, were they taking issue with you because you were getting their chicks? Okay, so that was the most part.
Yes. And I didn't know this. Monte and a couple other football guys basically put out a stop notice and was like, if you guys fuck with him, we're going to come find you. I never got bothered one time.
I love that.
No matter where I was.
You're like
I had no, but the thing is, I had no idea. I was just like, this is great.
Yeah.
Everybody's so nice.
It was mostly just the fraternities that were like giving you shit, like regular, like you're in class and there's a bunch of dudes that are like, hey Tyler, what's going on? Like nobody was giving you like why are you here? Like stop. Yeah.
No, I got none of that.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Matter of fact, I guess it doesn't matter now, but I usually hung out with the Qs most of the time, and they're more of a rugged fraternity. If you don't know black fraternities, the Alpha, I'm gonna get
dude. I don't even know white fraternities.
That's fair enough. But the Qs are like they're known as being like wild, kind of militant. They're usually a lot of football players.
Okay, yeah.
They do the branding and all this stuff like that. But I hung out with them, but they had been suspended, like they couldn't be a fraternity for like 4 years for some allegations that occurred. Doesn't matter, but that's who I hung out with all the time.
Now, would you have been able to join a fraternity there?
So funny enough, I would have been the first white Q dog at TSU. I had to have the current president and a former president like give the okay, and I did because one of them was on the football team and the other one I knew him. They're both like, dude, absolutely.
So my dealings with fraternities is when I started school in 1992 at the University of Alabama from New Jersey. I say this, I went because my father and grandfather went there. Last name of Macaluso, it may or may not be Italian. And my grandfather couldn't get into med school in the New Jersey, New York area. The Irish at the time, this was in the 20s, didn't like Italians. So that's why my grandfather ended up going to Alabama. I gave it a shot. Very immature. I didn't finish, but I remember going, I'm like, well, maybe I should do like fraternity rushing. So I go through and I remember going, I'm not going to say the house but I remember going to this one house and there's like Civil War cannons there. And I walk in and I'm like, the fuck is this? There's a picture of Robert E. Lee like hanging. I'm like, I wanted to be like, you guys realize you fucking lost the war, right? You know, and this is the only thing I'll say with it. You guys were like fucking treasonous. Like, but that's it. So probably get some hate for that one.
You might, but so just keep in mind too, I grew up in the South, but before I went to college, I used to have a really deep Southern drawl. And so even in high school in Florida, my nickname was Tennessee. Everybody called me that. And then I went to a school in Tennessee and that name just kind of stuck. But my mom beat that Southern drawl out of me.
Physically or
sometimes both.
Okay.
Again, former Marine, whatever, right? I thank her for it now, I guess.
Wait, could we, like, I want just really quick. Your mom retires from the Marine Corps as, I'm not sure, probably a gunny or master.
Not sure,
up there.
I should know that, but I don't.
Can you please explain what your mom does nowadays?
So I'm still somewhat of I don't know. I love my parents, but I guess, I talk highly of my mom. She's bad. She's 5'11", dreads. She's got tattoos. She just for me. It's just
she sounds like a typical Marine.
She's a bad bitch, bro. But she was an engineer for a long time, a communications engineer. She worked at I guess I won't say the business.
She was in comm. She wasn't an engineer. Engineers are combat engineer. I got to
no, not the Marines. This is post.
Okay, all right.
No. She was avionics.
Okay.
Marines, yeah. I did say that for a long time. But my parents were engineers, and they were like, "Do they blow up bridges?" I was like, "No." Anyway. So that's been corrected. No, afterwards. And then, she's a doctor now, but
what type of doctor?
Family medicine.
Yeah, an MD.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And she didn't decide to do that till she was in her 50s. I think she was 54.
Yeah. There's a level of, like, we talk about, like, we work with people that are like badass.
Yeah.
Your mom's in that category.
100%.
Like, like I told you about my buddy who was a Harrier pilot in the Marine Corps. And then he got out, did finance and flew C-130s in the reserves. And he just finished his residency at Vanderbilt and he went to Columbia Med School. He's an ER doctor now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm like, dude, Frank, you're like one of the smartest dudes I know. He goes, no. I'm one of the stupidest people you know. He goes, I don't know.
Work hard.
I don't know why I started a career. He goes, you're retired with a pension and I'm just trying to get there.
Yeah.
Now. So I think that's like fucking badass with your mom. And I think that shows it, like, maybe I'm biased because I was a Marine.
Yeah.
That, I guarantee you, if you talk to her, your mom said, the Marine Corps gave me this showed me that I can do it. Yeah. I think it's the coolest thing in the world.
And then my dad, it's funny because this is where I get my kind of like, so my mom, most of the time she lived in Florida by the beach. So I have that love and passion for being by the beach. My dad is not that he doesn't like the beach, but he's opposite. He's, he bounced around. He's currently in West Virginia, but he's like back in the woods with a big plot of land, hunt, fish.
Hank Williams Jr.
Yeah, man, I won't get into his guns because I don't know. I don't want to put him on a list. But, so I have that kind of both sides. My parents are just so different. They're polar opposites in that regard.
Yeah.
But, and again, my dad has lived his lifestyle the way he wanted to, and he's going to be retiring soon and doing something else. But
What's he doing?
So he's like executive.
You told me, but I
don't know all the rankings or titles, but he's the regional director of sales or whatever for United Rentals. So he goes on a construction job.
Yeah.
Rugged man shit, right?
Yeah.
Steel toe boots, and he might have a suit on with a hard hat, but he's out there. That's
but he can still drive a backhoe and shit like that and be
all the things.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are my parents.
So we can spend the whole time on your parents, which
I could,
and your childhood, which is, I'm not taking away from. I think it's fucking cool as shit. Maybe I'm biased because they were Marines. So, but
fair enough.
And my dad was a doctor, so you graduate college, and then. When did you start did you think about going into the Marine Corps afterwards, or did you think about going into law enforcement?
So I did military, and I actually would have gone in the Army at that point. So there was a.
All right, I got to go.
Well,
we're done.
There was a shift. There was a shift because in college I had 2 children.
Okay.
And so I wanted to start working. So I actually got out of college. I was like a store manager for Abercrombie and Fitch, which was a terrible. That wasn't a good fit for me. Loud music with flip-flop. Anyway,
and the perfume.
Oh my God, bro. It was not good for me. So I didn't do that very long. Then I switched over to Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where the recruiter for that straight lied to my face. He's like, you wanted to go to the NFL? I was like, sure, yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. So I was being recruited in college until I tore my knee.
Okay.
The next year I came back, same recruiters that were loving all over me the year before.
Who are you?
Yeah. What's your name? So that kind of hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I think there's something in the name recruiter. Yeah. It's the same throughout either the military or in the civilian
No matter
side.
where you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So, those dreams had been dashed. But I went from Abercrombie Fitch to like Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where he's like, you can make, X amount of money and all this money. Maybe somebody else could. That was not me. I just had to wear a suit and clean cars all fucking day in Florida heat. It was a terrible, terrible idea. But I turned that job into financial advisor with Wachovia when it was still around.
Yeah.
And I thought I loved that job. Mostly because I was making shitloads of money and I had kids, right? So I was giving them a good life. That's what my goal was, right? My priorities had kind of shifted a little bit. And I was a business major, so I was like, I'm doing what I
trained for.
This is what I was trying to do. But it was maybe a year into that, roughly. That was in like 2008 when the financial market took a shit. It all kind of ties in, but the financial market took a shit. I felt very alone because it's really just you. Right. And you're a salesman trying to sell people stuff. And I was never if you didn't need it, I didn't want to sell it to you. So I didn't really like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was already like, man, I need to do something else. And it all kind of just works out. But I was already looking at going OCS, Officer Candidate School.
For the Army or for the Army?
Okay. For the Army. I don't know why. Anyway. And
what were you looking at doing in the Army?
I have no idea. I just wanted to join. I felt the need to do something. I wanted to serve in the military. And at the time, my wife at the time was like, hey, you're looking at this military thing. Hillsborough County is hiring. And I'm like, she's like, please try both or whatever. This is exactly how it went. I was supposed to have my final interview with the commander in Orlando on a Tuesday. They called and canceled it for whatever reason, scheduling issues. Friday, Hillsborough called me and said, hey, you got the job you're in. And I was like, very excited, but I went back. I was like, I really want to give the military. She goes, if you go to the military, I can't promise I'll be here when you get back.
And that's big, bro.
That hit me pretty hard. And I understood she has since said she regrets saying that to me, but
she wanted you to be there for the kids.
Yeah. Right? And I get it. I get it now. And so that's kind of how that started. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be a cop. I will say I immediately loved it. Not necessarily the training, but you're like instantly you have a team, you have teammates again. And so you go through with your team and training and all that. And then it doesn't matter what division you go to, you always have people around you. It makes you feel like they're helping you be successful.
Yeah. And I want to point out that, we're here again, we're here in LA and there's 2 people in the audio room that Tyler worked with, BJ and Mo.
Yeah.
I
got very lucky.
Yeah. And that you're
very lucky.
You're still buddies with.
Yes.
And, I talk about we all do, but I bitch a lot about being a cop. But one of the guys I worked with is probably one of the best friends I have had. And
lifelong friends.
And, when I went through the stuff with Lucy, him and his brother were there the whole time. And Lucy did not want to see people, but if she knew they were there, she cheered up. Even weeks before she passed, she had this massive smile on her face when she saw them.
Yeah. And my kids call BJ Uncle BJ. So
yeah.
Yeah. 100%. No, and that's the thing. So I got lucky in that regard, right? Because I've heard horror stories of people going through and just kind of being ostracized, and there might be reasons for that. We know some people are just socially awkward, whatever the reasons are. But I got lucky in the sense that BJ was in my recruiting class, so we started our career together, and we're together pretty much for several years until he abandoned me. And I'm looking at him because he went to school resource.
Good job, BJ.
He abandoned me, but
we're making him walk home to the hotel tonight. All right,
right. But also in that time with the first 3 years, right? That kind of pivotal, in my opinion, pivotal time on learning how to be a cop. Mo comes in, and all we were told about Mo when she came in was, hey, she's a veteran deputy. Leave her alone. She was, doing undercover work. Now she's back on the street, which usually means something bad happened. But that's a whole nother story. That's Mo's story. I'm not going to tell that on here. That's not what happened at all. So that's kind of what we were told.
That's the rumor mill in the police world.
She was a detective, and now she's back on the street. So,
fucked up. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah.
But so I think it lasted maybe a week or two. We kind of just left her alone or whatever. And then BJ was like, man, fuck this, bro. She's in our zone. So we were like, hey, we're whatever. I'm Tyler, BJ, whatever. We're zone partners. And we had probably, I still stand by it, probably the best year of law enforcement. And we made great cases. We had fun every day. I was excited to go to work. Mo, taught us a bunch of shit because BJ and I are bigger dudes. So we just leveraged that in a lot of the ways that we would talk to people and communicate and interact. And she was like, you don't always have to be all up on somebody and grabbing people. And it would be funny because Mo would be doing an interview, and Mo's smaller than us. And then BJ and I would just be like 2 inches on either side of the guy.
Bookend the dude.
And the dudes are sweating or whatever. And they're like, are they good? Don't worry about them. Mo would be like, don't worry about them. But maybe she already knew she had the passion for it, but like she taught us, right? She taught us how to be a cop and how to, 100% a mentor. Yeah. And how to kind of navigate the politics of being in a larger agency, which is another whole thing.
There could be PhD level classes on it.
Bro, it's ruthless. But we also had great sergeants. Again, this is what I'm saying. Like Shiro, phenomenal mind. We're going to have him on the podcast at some point. But he just has a mind he's just a smart guy anyway, but towards law enforcement. So we just had this really good base. And then everything started changing. BJ, took a different path, so he could
stabbed you in the back and left you. Okay.
As we're looking at him. Very happy.
He's going to beat the shit out of
you. And shift change every year, like supervisors would change, your teammates would change, people would go to different shifts. So it changes every year anyway. And I started, at the time, I was also getting my master's degree. I got my master's degree at USF, and I thought I had this great idea. It is still a great idea.
What'd you get your master's in?
Criminal Justice Administration.
Did you tell me that? I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you never did.
No, but
I just like to point out I have 2 master's degrees.
No big deal.
To your one.
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. And I didn't pay for them. I got paid for them.
I'm still paying for them. But during that time, my thesis was on working with other law enforcement, like probation, parole, and other agencies to target high-level recidivists who commit Part 1 crimes. So I had this whole thing, and I rolled it out, and the major at the time supported it full-heartedly and basically let me run plain clothes, jeans and t-shirt. And that's all I did. And I worked with probation. I did all these things, and I was moving and shaking, so to speak. And so we kind of all had our own path, right? And that's kind of the direction it was going. And then you learn quickly that when you start
doing well,
you piss people off. Mm-hmm. And so I pissed off the wrong people. And long story short, I was rocking and rolling. I was doing presentations to the other districts in the county, and like this was becoming a thing. And I got the supervisor I pissed off got a complaint because I said fuck you on a call, and took me off the task force, put me in a hole. And my career at Hillsborough County was kind of shot from that point on.
Yeah, one person. That's
pretty much.
We talk about that and about law enforcement, and this is part of the reason we bitch about it a lot.
Yeah,
it could be one person or one incident that one person or maybe a few people see and they don't like it, and your fucking career is ruined. I had a guy I worked with that worked for a douchebag sergeant. He said it. He goes. And he was like, I got hired at 34 or 35 out in the road. They were in like 22 and they were full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
And when he was on that sergeant squad for like a year or two, he's like, took the wind out of my sail.
Yeah.
And my buddy, he's still there. He's a super smart guy, but he's like, took the wind out of my sail.
Mm-hmm. It really just deflates you, especially when you don't really understand what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Looking back, I realize now, but I was full of piss and vinegar and I was ready to rock and roll.
But did you really do anything wrong? You just...
No, there's a 48 laws of power. There's a book written, and I think law number 1, don't outshine the master. So yeah. I outshined my supervisors, didn't give them their proper kudos.
Well, they didn't like it. I'm going to be the military military dork here, like the Iran-Iraq war in 80 to 88, Saddam Hussein could run a country but he couldn't run a military.
Yeah.
And, if you ever study that war, like anytime that a general showed good initiative and was doing it, he sacked that general because he was worried that they were going to, like the troops would be like, we really like Tyler.
Yeah.
Let's overthrow Saddam.
It's a thing. It's a common thing. So also during that time period, roughly, so in football, I had torn my ACL, and then fast forward in Hillsborough, chasing some fucking guy through the neighborhood, I tore my MCL. So I got put out of pocket for a while. I'll give you one example of what I was dealing with at that time period. I came back from the surgery and had already been put, spanked, so to speak, put in time out, told to don't move. And during that time,
we call it up in New Jersey, your pee-pee slapped.
Yes. And I remember the lieutenant pulled up on me one day, and I was like, I rolled my window down thinking like, hey, yes, sir. And he just cracked his window and he just slides this envelope through his window into mine. And he drove off. And I was like, what the fuck? I opened it. I had received deputy of the quarter for my casework. And usually it's like a whole thing and pop of circumstance, but no. That's how much I was in doghouse.
And that's shit that pisses me off, where it's like, hey, if you're going to like do pop of circumstance, like, oh, Adam, you got deputy of the quarter, we're going to have the band come in and everything. And then Tyler, nope, we don't care. No. That's not how it works, dude.
No. Well, I'll give you one more example from my Hillsborough career time, which is where I learned how to be a cop, full stop. But we used to do intelligence reports where it wasn't a case where like, hey, we're realizing something's going on, a crime trend, or somebody who's, hey,
123 Main Street, there's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, or this person's like been involved in a lot of case reports, like something's going on here, you should look into this person. It was supposed to kick up to the detectives or somebody else to like fully investigate what's going on. So I did one and nothing happened, which I didn't say anything. I was just like, okay, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. A year later, I'm in there. The major comes in. This is our roll call. The major comes in. All the detectives come in. And I'm already like, oh shit, what's going on? Like somebody's in trouble. And he goes, hey, Tyler, can you stand? I was like, oh my God. And he's like, I just want to recognize Deputy Martin. He wrote an intel report a year ago about this individual who committed 13 robberies, bunch of burglaries, all the shit. He was fucking going crazy. And he goes, we apologize for not taking it more seriously. And all the detectives that were there were like, we really appreciate the work you're putting in. I'm beet red. My head's down. I'm like, oh, fuck. Because nobody likes that shit.
No.
And the way they brought him in, I don't know what the intent was, but yeah.
Do you think it was a good intent or a bad intent? Or you don't know?
No. I think the major had good intent. Like he was trying to punish or like embarrass the detectives, but that only falls down on me, baby. Shit rolls downhill. And I was at the bottom. Yeah,
that's like.
Yeah. I still remember that to this day. I was like, holy God, what did you just do to me?
So you did 6 years in Hillsborough, right?
Almost 7. Again, I lose the dates on it, but.
So where'd you go? I know your law enforcement, most of it. Like, so I'm letting you.
100%.
If you want to talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. So I was in that punishment phase and I was like, my career here is done. A little bit of backstory. I actually applied to the FBI when I was still in banking and I was 80 pounds heavier and I didn't have my master's degree yet. And so the recruiter was like, hey, you need to make yourself a more viable candidate, basically. Like, hey, you need to fix these things. So it was like 4 years separation there. I lost 80 pounds and I got my master's degree and now I had law enforcement experience and I went to the FBI. Super excited. Super happy.
Yeah, premier law enforcement.
Like, here we go.
We make fun of them, but like, they do a lot of cool shit.
Yep. So I quit Hillsborough and I was like, I'm going to the FBI. You guys don't want me. Boom. The FBI does, kind of a thing. Mic drop. I made it 9 weeks and that's a whole nother thing. There's like a pattern here. I go 9 weeks. And at the time I went through the FBI training, we had to take multiple PT tests and I had already, passed 4 or 5, but just to get in, like you have to have a standard. And I was at that time probably in the best shape of my life. I was running like a 9-minute mile and a half, which is good for me.
Dude, I would kill for a 9-minute mile and a half back.
I think 6'4", 260 running.
Like,
dude, that was good for me.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And I was doing well. Like I was like, and this is what it was going to be. And I made it far enough that I was going to go to Alaska. That's where that was going to be my field office. And I was super excited.
Did you put that number 1 on your list?
It was not number 1, but if it was in the top 20, which it was, because there's New York, LA, Chicago, Detroit, DC, all those were at the very bottom.
Oh, yeah. Because if you put New York in the bureau, like you're getting
100%. That's where you're going. If any of those are in your top, so Alaska was like 20, maybe number 20. Boop, you're going to Alaska because nobody wants to go there. I was super pumped.
Yeah,
I was excited to go. But anyway, so about week 9, going in, we're taking supposed to be our final PT test. And again, it's weird the way they do it. Everyone's super quiet. All the instructors, they don't say anything. And you do your push-ups, your sit-ups, your 1.5 mile run, your sprint. We had to do a 300-meter sprint, and then pull-ups. And I was crushing it. And at the end, he goes, Martin, you failed. You're out. The DT guy, the instructor.
So
just like that. Boom. And I was gone 2 hours later.
Do they count your reps while you're doing it or no?
No, they don't say anything. You have no idea if you're passing or failing. They said I did 0 push-ups. Like none of them counted. I just want to say, I wasn't the only one. There was 3 of us total. The other 2, one was military, I don't remember, but the other one was a Green Beret.
And he failed too?
He did like 110. He said 0 because I don't know. The way they, it's all subjective bullshit. But.
Yeah, this is, okay, so people, I got to put this in here. Like Tyler was a D1 athlete. Okay, so you got to be able to do 1 or 2 push-ups.
Yeah. Well, BJ knows because he worked out with me. Like he helped me train for the PT test.
Yeah, and to be in the Green Beret in the Army, their PT test is push-ups, and I know they are really strict. With it, and to go through Special Forces selection and the qualification course, you have to So from what you're telling me is that they just had to stick up their ass for a certain
some reason. So usually, which ties into moving on law enforcement, because when you tell people, I got booted from the FBI because they didn't like my push-ups, they're like, okay. Is that the reason they used? And there was really something else, but through all the background stuff, they're like, no, that's the reason why. It is what it is.
And didn't they call you?
They called me 3 years later. I was already with the Secret Service by that time.
They come back, right?
They come back.
But you would have had to started from day 1 at the academy.
Well, they would let me start at week 9, but I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm already
Would you still got in Alaska?
I don't know that part.
Oh.
I don't know any of that stuff. I told them respectfully, no, thank you.
It's actually pretty good, though, that they would actually let you start at week 9.
Well, the backstory from that is the individual who booted us had a history and was basically forced to resign.
They didn't want PR.
There was he had a target that he didn't want in the FBI.
Yeah,
and I matched that target. So anywho, so now I'm super depressed. Keep in mind, I still have 2 children. I don't know what I'm going to do. At that point, I had moved my family into Maine to be my mom. This was my mom that started med school at that time, and Maine was beautiful. I loved it. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. And I kind of moped for like a month, being honest. And by mope, I meant I drank too much. I slept a lot, and I was really depressed.
So you were being human.
Yeah, I was really upset. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I can't, you got kids, bro. You can't just mope around on the couch. So applied for the Maine State Police, and I had to go through another academy.
How?
9-week academy.
How long from date of hire, from application, applying to date of hire? Starting the academy.
It was like a month. They fast tracked me because I had law enforcement experience. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and I went straight to for Maine, I went straight to the Trooper Academy, which is an additional 9-week academy after the 6-month basic academy.
Well, that's how Maine runs it?
Yes, and it was all, I think it still is centralized in Augusta.
Yeah, because it's a living academy,
which
too.
I still think is great. I know you can't do that at every state, but it was you met cops from everywhere, but I only did the 9-week Trooper Academy. So everybody that I was there with had already just gone through basic academy together. So they'd been together for 6 months, and then here I come.
Did they haze you at the academy? Or was it?
We don't call it hazing.
Yes, I know. Was it? It wasn't a gentleman's course.
No, it was not. It was not a gentleman's course. Day 1 pull up. We're in suits. All the troopers come out screaming at you with the Smokey Bears on. I got brimmed in the face, throwing your shit around. And there was all this stuff that I didn't even know I need to have memorized, like the Troopers Pledge and all these statutes. I don't know any of that stuff. I just got here.
so that had to make it a little bit more eventful.
Oh, buddy. But I will say that having already been had already been a cop. You know what I mean? So I knew. So there was one moment where they did the tornado where they tear up all your shit and they throw it all everywhere, where they broke my toothbrush and had shoe shine in my underwear, just weird shit. And I broke my deodorant or something like that, stuff that I needed. And so I was like, I waited till everything was, we did it all. I was never disrespectful ever. And I went to the cadre room because they live there with you. And I was like, this recruit Martin wishes to speak with the cadre or something like that. And it's this whole thing. And I'm sitting there waiting, and they come out and they're like, what? I was like, I need to speak to you off privately. And so I went in, and they're all in there, and they're, I said, listen, I get it. I understand what's going on here, but you broke my shit. I was like, come on, that's aggressive. I was like, I respect everything you guys do.
Did they do it just to you or other guys too?
No, it was I don't know if I was the only one that had broken stuff, but I was the only one that was like, man, I'm too old for that, bro. I need my shit.
How old were you at the academy? 33 with 6 years, almost 7 years of law enforcement experience.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. But whatever. Hey, listen, they went, one of the sergeants went back, got some stuff. He goes, here you go. He goes, hey, sorry about that. Appreciate, the way you handled this. I said, great.
Doing it in a professional manner.
Yeah, 100%. And then as I go, they're like, get out of there, whatever. And we went on. But so having already gone through Hillsborough Academy, which I thought was great, the Trooper Academy was excellent. It was a different system. I mean, they would wake us up in the middle of the night for calls and you had to get dressed in uniform and go, which is what you do as a trooper. You're on call pretty much all the time. Yeah,
but don't you live in the barracks as a Maine state trooper for the...
No.
Maybe New Hampshire does. I think
maybe.
I don't remember.
But no, which I wouldn't do. I mean, they took real time. The way they progressed in 9 weeks. So by the 9th week, they're basically already just treating you like a trooper. And they ended up having like a big party for the troopers that graduated. The way they did everything was great.
All the guys that started, how many finished? Did anybody drop out or get kicked out?
So one guy got kicked out. There was 9 of us that started. It was very small. Yeah. I think they're growing in their trooper size, but their classes, but they were always trooper. It was very difficult to become a Maine State trooper. I didn't know that at the time. And one guy, week 1, because he cheated on a test and he lied about it.
That's
I just failed them all and said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which they respected, I guess. I was like, I don't know. I'm working on it. But yeah, no, again, great guys. I still talk to all of them that were in our class.
That's awesome.
Some of them made sergeant already, detectives. One guy, I want to have him on too. I won't say his name, but he was a Sears school instructor in the military. And so he ended up becoming the commander for the SWAT team. But that dude was a freak. We did this obstacle course thing where you had to like climb up the ladder rope thing. And I'm afraid of heights. So I'm like shaking up there and throwing my leg. It's real slow. He did the thing where you grab onto it, flip your body and hang and then drop down. Dude, he smoked it in like a minute. And I think it took me like 5. He was just a freak. We also did in Trooper Academy, we did fight nights on every Friday. They call them fight nights, but it was just, you never knew when they were going to call you. They could call you first thing in the morning. They could call you in the middle of class, whatever. And then they would basically run you, get you tired and say, all right, it's a domestic. You got to go make an arrest. Go. Boom. Or this guy has a warrant. Boom. And you did that every Friday.
Somebody was in like a red man suit?
No red man suit, baby. It was ready to rock and roll. And it was hand-to-hand combat. No close fist. And, you're not trying to elbows or anything. You're trying to arrest them. They want to see how far you're willing to go. Like, fighting. I can tell you the first time, because I was, to what your point, red man suit. I go in and I ended up actually working with the same trooper that he was a SWAT guy. But I walk in, I'm like, hey, you're under arrest, put your hand behind your back, whatever. He smacks the shit out of me, open hand. I was like, oh, we're hitting for real? Boom! We just go.
And did he have like a reaction to it?
Oh, yeah. He was like, oh, and then, but I just went street fight mode. Like I had a fish hook on him and the sergeant was like, stop. What, are you fish hooking him? Stop it. I was like, oh, okay. And then I had him one time, I was about to knee him. He's like, no knees. Like they were like, stop it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, you get after it.
Yeah. Like when I went to infantry officers course, we fought all the time. And we did like so much ground fighting in our, at the time we called it 782 gear. It's like you're but we had flax on and stuff. And I remember my rib had gotten broken in boxing. And then my buddy at the time threw me. We were ground fighting and he heard it crack. He goes, oh, that's not good. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
But we fought all the time. Yeah. They just wanted to, it's a big thing. They just want to see, no one's expecting you to be Bruce Lee or Chuck. Hey, just give it, man. Get in there and fight.
See what happens. Yeah.
Because one day
they didn't expect you to win every time, but they wanted to see how, like, look, you're not always, especially in Maine.
I was going to say
backup's 2 hours away, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're fighting on your own, man.
Yeah.
I knew I had a guy in my reserve unit. It was a New York State trooper. Shot somebody at a domestic. He had to keep them at gunpoint for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Before anybody.
I will say that was a drastic difference from Hillsborough, where I hit a button and I'd have the cavalry would be there within 5 minutes or less. Yeah. I had to do that a couple times in Hillsborough. And in Maine, your radio at 1 might not work. You probably don't have cell service. You might be all by yourself figuring it out.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of my first burglaries as a trooper.
I love this story.
I was way down in the deep part of Maine. It was very difficult. And I saw the guy coming out of the house and I'm in foot pursuit. And I get on the radio and I'm like, dispatch, I need aviation, K9, backup, set a perimeter. And I'm running. My phone's ringing. And I'm like, I'm running in, looking. I'm like, I'm in the middle of a pursuit.
Dude, I'm in a pursuit.
But it's my sergeant. So I was like, sir, he goes, stop what you're doing right now. And I was like, well, sir, he goes, stop it. Did I hear you call for aviation? I was like, well, yeah, I got a burglar. He's like, we have a fixed wing. It's 4 hours away. K9 will be there in 3 to 4 hours. Where are you? Yeah, stop it. Go back to the house, take a report. We'll find them. There's like 12 people that live.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was right. We found them the next day, but
It's funny.
It's just different types of.
I was just going to say, there's different types of law enforcement.
Yeah.
We're here in LA, like different, like LA guys they're going to have they deal with a lot of shit and they're going to have a lot of backup. But like, you're a trooper or a CHP guy somewhere, like sometimes you're your own elite backup. Yeah. And as opposed like here, like Hillsborough, LA, you can call for an airship. Out there, no, you don't have those assets. Like, okay, figure out what's important. Like, okay, let me make sure no one's hurt. Let me get the report. Yeah. We'll see if we can get some forensic evidence and we'll go from there.
Yeah. And it was a different type of law enforcement. And because, let's just talk about traffic stuff for a minute. In Hillsborough, again, not every time, I'm not trying to overgeneralize, but a lot of the times you light somebody up, they're running from you, meaning they're stepping on the gas, vehicle pursuit, or they're bailing out of the car. That's very common.
Yeah.
In Maine, I'd light somebody up, 20 cars would pull over until I got behind the one I wanted. And then they'd be like, be safe, trooper, like all the other cars. Yeah. It was just very nice. I felt like a setup.
It's the demographics of the area, like the part of the country, the cultural part of the country and demographics, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very different.
So you do Maine State Police from what I remember, 9 months or so.
It was I think it was right at 9-10 months, something like that, which was not my intent, but I was like, I got burnt out because troopers also, you deal with traffic fatality crashes. Yeah. And the bulk of your calls are domestics. And I was already burnt out from domestics and traffic crashes, and I wanted to be a Fed. That's what I wanted.
So what agencies did you apply to and when did you apply to them?
Well, I only applied. So the Bush detail is in Maine for like 5 months out of the summer, and we all work with them because we know they're there. So I got to meet some of them, Secret Service guys. And
all right, it's great.
Well, I will say this. I'm not going to say they lied to me. I just didn't understand. They were like, you want to travel? Because that was my thing. I'd never been out of the U.S. And if I didn't live there, I didn't take vacation. Like that wasn't a thing. I just didn't do that. And so they're like, you will travel, you will see the world. And also, I took a dramatic pay bump being a trooper from Hillsborough, from Hillsborough to trooper. They weren't making a lot of money. I think I was making like $42,000
in Maine.
Yeah. Which is not a lot with 2 kids.
But how much was like Hillsborough was good?
Yeah. I mean, I was making, see, it's hard because I don't know what it was without, but over time, I mean, I was usually making 75, 80, which was okay.
Lower cost of living in Florida.
Yeah. All those things. Northern Maine, you could live off that for sure. But Southern Maine, no. It's Northern Mass. So yeah, it's like, no. So yeah, the money, they're like, you'll make over 6 figures and all that, but like you are going to travel a lot. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And they just kept trying to explain it to me. And I was like, no, I get it. I want to go. Well, the difference is this: when you travel, like you make plans for yourself, like, oh, I want to go to, I don't know, Italy. Let's just say that. Yeah. You plan it out. You know everything. Secret Service is like Thursday. They say, hey, you need to be at the airport Friday. You're going to be gone for 2 weeks. You're going here. It's like that. And then you might get rolled from there to, you see what I'm saying? So it just all of a sudden your life starts to it's not your life. It's whatever is going on with the protect team.
From applying to the Secret Service to going to getting hired and going to FLETC.
People are going to be mad about this. 2 months.
Did you have a hook with the detail? Is that how it got streamlined?
Nope. They just were filling the class and they called me on a Thursday, which is, I still think, inappropriate. They called me on Thursday and said, you need to be at the class Sunday. So I didn't give Maine State Police 2 weeks.
Yeah, see that.
And they said, if you don't take this, there's no guarantee there'll be another class for you. Yeah. Which was not true. There was another class 2 weeks after that. Yeah. So whatever.
When I applied, when I was on active duty and I applied and I got hired by DSS, it was from like a little bit over a year from applying to being an employee. Yeah. And you hear stories from people like, I was in the process with DEA for 3-4 years.
Which is very common.
But
keep in mind, the FBI was 4 years.
They do shit like this now. They've been doing this, and now it's biting. Now the chickens are coming home to roost because people are like, no, dude, I have a fucking I have a job. You can't tell me on Thursday I got a report here. Like, sorry, those days are over, bro. Yeah. Like, because know your audience now. Like law enforcement's not the flavor of the month right now,
especially not right now.
Yeah,
no. So it was a little. I had to call my lieutenant, my sergeant, and they were like, "What? They're giving you two like Saturday. I had to throw all my shit in my car and park it at the barracks, and I was gone Sunday, and I was gone for.
Were they
months.
Cool with it? Like Maine,
super supportive. Matter of fact, my lieutenant at the time is now the colonel and the head of Maine State Police.
And you still have to keep in touch with him?
Absolutely,
that's awesome.
Love that guy. He said, "Listen, He goes, you're doing what's best for you and your family. You should be proud, because there's a lot of the like cadre sergeants and other troopers that were like, fuck you, you weren't even here for a year and you're leaving. But he was like, you always have a home here, no matter what happens. He goes, I wish you nothing but success. I know you will be successful. I wish you nothing but success. But if anything happens or you decide it's not for you, you always have a home here. Don't let anybody tell you different.
I
needed that, actually.
We talk about this. That's leadership.
Yeah, because keep in mind, I had just got booted out of the FBI Academy.
Yeah. Did he know that?
Yeah.
See, that's nice, because I remember I was talking when I was in Cuba. I was talking to I was a captain at the time. I was thinking about like doing an inter-service transfer, and I was talking to a guy that was a lieutenant. He was going to be a special tactics officer with the Air Force. He was a grunt too. And I'm like, I remember I'm talking to him on the phone. He was in Pendleton. I'm down in Cuba. I'm like, dude, how's the battalion treating you? He goes, I'm a fucking persona non grata. You're selling us out, this and that. Like, no one's like, good job, dude.
Good.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I flew out Sunday. I got in Monday morning at 2:00 in the morning. I had to be up for our PT test, which I had a little, issue with the FBI. I had some concerns.
They didn't care at the end.
No.
They just
FLETC was very different.
Yeah.
That was more of a gentleman's academy. Like, you're adults, you got treated like a professional.
I thought, like, when I went through CITP, and that's the criminal investigator training program. Yeah. I went in 2005, and that was my first law enforcement academy. I'd been through the Marine Corps at the time, and, a bunch of formal schools and stuff. I still think it was better run than the local police academy that I went to.
The only thing I waver on with that statement, I think it's done in a more professional environment, but I think locals, you're dealing with people on the street. Like, you need to be ready to scrap it at any point. You're not really doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not doing that on the Fed side.
Yeah. I know ATF is pretty big with that.
Well, I say ATF is probably the closest thing to street cops. DEA and ATF. Yeah. They work a lot with locals.
But I remember tell me if you remember, I remember for CITP, like 80% of the people failed handcuffing.
Yes.
I'd like to point out that I didn't.
Yes. And searching too. That was a big one.
Yeah. Handcuffing and searching. Because in the Feds, like locals, like, a guy doesn't really handcuff a girl, but you really don't search her. In the Feds, I remember they didn't give a shit. They're like, I remember one girl, she was well endowed in there, and the guy, one of my buddies is searching her, and he's like, and he's watched like a bunch of people fail already. So he puts his hand into her breasts, and he pulls out a needle. He's like, good. And she goes, I get people all the time with that. Like, they taught you, like, when you search somebody, and there wasn't anything like, it wasn't like a lot of cop things were like, okay, you done searching him? Like, I remember because I went back, searched the guy, and then I'm like, let me just double check his pockets. Yeah. And he had a needle in there.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, especially on this, well, I could say in Florida, they're always hiding stuff somewhere.
Oh yeah. We had an arrest for a guy, and we had to bring him to Patterson, and I didn't do the searching. It was another agency did it.
Yeah.
It was because I was trying to get a strict liability, a murder, like a version of a murder charge for an overdose I was investigating. And he had fucking like a bunch of bricks of, I don't even know, like the little bags. He's a brick. I think I'm
little baggies. Yeah.
Right by his ball. And he's like, fuck my people. And the jailer there in Patterson, because the guy's like, oh man, you don't got to do that. He goes, sir, shut up and put your arms up on, he just didn't play around with it. And
dude, that's when I learned in jails and stuff, if you suspect somebody's keystring something, like they'll have them bend over and cough and all this stuff. And it's wild what people will try to hide or whatever.
Yeah. Like, listen, I'll take an extra 6 months of my sentence as opposed to shoving something up my ass. I can't.
Exactly. No, I'm not doing it.
I only do that on Fridays.
There you go.
Oh shit, it's Friday.
Yeah. I will say though, so like in Florida, it was like meth and crack and all that. That was a big thing. Maine was the first place where I was like actual heroin and like black tar.
Yeah. Heroin's big Northeast.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what, like, I don't think I think one time I ever dealt with crack.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't remember dealing with meth.
BJ has a great case that was accidental. We were just testing because we'd learn new statutes or whatever. And then we would go out and try to apply them, whatever. Yeah. So I can't remember exactly what the statute was, but we saw a guy walking out of a known dope area. And we were like, oh, let's go see what we can do. And we stopped him. And the BJ's like, you got anything in your pocket? He's like, yeah, I got a 100-pack of crack. He's like, why would you just tell me that?
Yeah, I had that with a guy. I'm like, you guys doing drugs in there? And the guy was like, yeah. I'm like, fuck, dude. Now I got to do a report.
Now I got to do something. Yeah. So that was the background. And so then I go into the FLETC and Secret Service stuff. And again, I had it was the best time. I mean, it was, we were in class from 8 to 4 or whatever, and then you're free. You do what you wanted to do. So it was awesome.
You and I went back to FLETC for firearms instructor.
That was not as much fun.
No.
I'm too old for that now.
I was 51.
Yeah.
And you're
41.
And you didn't have your surgery yet. And
no.
I'm like, you wanted to do the first podcast down there. I'm like, no way, dude. Yeah. No way. Because
we were exhausted, dude.
Yeah,
we were
remember
shooting this shit. Yeah.
The first day, I'm like, you were like,
well, yeah, they stressed me out because I thought I was having a fucking heart attack.
Oh, yes. I forgot all about
the cuff that they put on me was too tight. And I was like, this is really tight.
Yeah.
And I was completely fine.
And then you still shot better than everybody.
Dude, which I will say the instructors gave me, my kids call it self-glazing. That's when you hype yourself up. But yeah. I will say, I went there because I just had the Glock iron sights, and I think I even had loose mags in my pocket. But then we had the Marshall guys with their fucking packed out belts, flared magwell, drop magazines. I was like, damn it.
The one instructor with the really thick, awesome guy.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, that's really impressive. Those
yeah.
guys all have all that, and you come here and you out shooting. Right. I like that. That was cool.
Yeah. And I didn't know what to expect.
All right. So how much are we doing good on time?
We're good on time, man.
All right. So you get to Secret Service, and how did they do assignments, and where was your first field office?
So my first field office was in Boston. I had an inside track, and they're like, listen, just commute from Maine, which was 96 miles, and we're going to work on getting you up into Maine because somebody was leaving for the detail. So I was like, sweet. So I did that. So again, Secret Service is hard to explain. It's unlike any other agency because you don't go to the office every day. You're traveling, you're post standing, you're doing advanced stuff.
You ask for Boston as number one?
Yes, because I wanted to be close to Maine.
Okay.
That's why I did have that hook.
That's weird because usually Boston's a hard one to get for federal agencies.
No, yeah. They were, and I didn't have to move my family at the time to Maine, to Mass, which I couldn't have afforded anyway. So, I did that for like 8 months, and then I moved into the Maine. And again, I got lucky. I had a great boss. I had a great group of guys. We had some of the best time.
Were you doing a lot of protection up there or a lot of investigation?
5 months out of the year, you're with the Bushes, or, because the Obamas go up there, the Clintons go up there, not to Maine, but up in the New England area.
Yeah, Martha's Vineyard.
And Boston has, what's the big hospital in Boston? I'm drawing a blank. No, the hospital. The big one. I'm drawing a blank on it.
Well, I know Dana is a big cancer hospital.
Anyway, so you get a lot of foreign leaders, and then also Harvard's up there. So their kids go there. So you're constantly on protection assignments.
Yeah, but that's only for heads of state people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But those were like short details, like a week.
Yeah, week, 2 weeks, yeah.
Like that's...
But still, break that up throughout a month. That's
dude, I remember from state being at New York with the UN, you're like...
and then we would do the UN. So think about that. It was all summer with the Bushes, which went till about August, September. And then you go from that to straight to the UN.
General Assembly, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like I wasn't commuting to the office every day. It wasn't a thing.
When we did the General Assembly that we got hotel rooms.
Yeah.
I was one of the advance agents for the UN. So I saw when UNGA was coming.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, okay, I'll be standing 15, 16 hours a day, but I'm in one spot. I can go to I have a bathroom and shit. Like he comes out like, got to think about food and bathroom.
Yeah, I was not that. I was, because Secret Service, we're always on the details or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're working 16, 18 hour days because some of these world leaders or heads of state party like they're 18 and they're staying out till midnight. You're like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. or they're going on these like $100,000 shopping.
Yes. Yes.
Like, and I saw that with like Western European leaders.
Dude, what are we doing?
How much do they pay you in Greece?
Yeah. So, but I will say with the service though, that's when, again, I loved majority of what I did, but like I got to meet all these different heads of state, travel to all these different countries, work with their law enforcement, their military.
Yeah. See, this is what I mean. Like
wild experience.
Like, listen to your experience where you say, like, I didn't do it. Like, you did, dude. Like, you were a street cop for almost 7 years, and, like, you did legit street cop stuff.
Yeah.
And, then you're in Maine, and you're out there on your own.
Yep.
Like, that's a different type of law enforcement.
Yes,
and then
is.
You go to the feds, you got, like, 8 years of street cop experience, which is really good because a lot of federal agents don't know that. And it's not taken away from them.
I don't want to say that you have to, but it definitely helps.
Yes.
Because when you're, especially in the service, Secret Service, you're talking to kings, queens, presidents, whatever, but also go all the way down. You have to deal with the homeless people and drug stuff because you got to keep them, you got to be able to talk to all levels. And then their staff, military. I was talking to fucking generals and shit from our country and other countries, Plan.
But you're also dealing with like the local law enforcement agencies And you know, I can, from my experiences, like that shit you see in the movie, like, you know, you're but like some law enforcement agencies, like I remember a story we had. So the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, they control Newark Airport, JFK, LaGuardia, and White Plains. And they're powerful agency, you know, and they have their own police force.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Like, hey, listen, I killed somebody on the airport. They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll get rid. Like, that's the type of, they were like, the police department in the agency, they were very easy to deal with. They were very easy to deal with. But I remember, this is secondhand, I get told a story about, like, and this goes back to being a cop and knowing how to talk to other agencies. Yeah. And so there are the secretary's detail, and they're like telling JFK, which is probably one of the busiest airports in the world. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, the secretary's coming in. This is during Condoleezza Rice. We're going to have a helicopter, and like the Port Authority, the cop, and like one of the airport guys, and like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
They're like, no, we're going to stop traffic. They're like, no, you're not. No, we don't even do this for the president. We don't stop. Like nothing stops. No. Like they're like, well,
you don't know what you're saying.
We're the secretary's detail. They're like, how would you like if the secretary flies into White Plains?
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm like, dude, because I remember, like, I dealt with the Port Authority and NYPD. Like, dude, they can really go like and be like, fuck you. You have fun doing your protection detail.
There was he was in my class. He was just young, didn't have a lot of experience, basically went from college to Secret Service type deal. And he's in the New York field office. Again, secondhand, third hand. My other coworkers were telling me he rolls up to Trump Tower like day one of his shift, and he's out there trying to tell the New York ERT guys, their SWAT guys, hey, you guys guys. You guys got to move. And the commander was like, you might want to go talk to somebody about that. We're not moving. Like, who the fuck are you? Don't talk to me like that. He's like out there, like trying to change up the security plan.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you this: the NYPD will move the war. Like, you're cool with them, especially like when I would run into like one of the NYPD detectives that was like a jarhead too, and like, oh yeah, and be like, what do you guys need? You need the bridge shut down? Yeah, sure thing, man, no problem. We'll get that. Yeah. Like they shut down streets and go counterflow.
There was a time, I can't remember who I was with. A protest popped up, and it was like 150 people just popped up at one of my posts, and I called it out. And I had an NYPD counterpart with me. Within a minute, there was 100 cops, and like one of the majors, which is a big deal, right? Yeah. NYPD comes in, and they just boom, shut it down, move it. I mean, it was like lickety split. And so again, you can't do that. That's the other part, right? You got to learn where you're at. Like, you can't do that in Maine. You're not going to get 100 cops. It's, okay, we'll be there in like 6 hours. Yeah. There's not 100 cops in that radius. So you got to know where you are. There's just a lot that goes into it. So having that ability to work with them and understand where the hell you are. Like, well, we just did this in Boston. Okay, well, now you're in Arkansas, dude. There's like 15 sheriff deputies. You're not getting 300 cops to come shut. That's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Look, figure out where you're at, man.
So, the agency you and I worked at, I don't work there anymore. I'm not going to say what agency.
Yeah.
It's Inspector General, but I'm there my 4th day and we get a threat call.
Yeah.
And it's in New York, Rockland County somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, I can go up. Like, waiting. So I get there before the other guy gets there, and I walk in. I'm like, hey guys, and like, Special Agent Macaluso with so-and-so. And I remember the sergeant comes out. He's like, hey, I'm like, hey man, that's my old badge number. He goes, oh, you were a cop? I'm like, yeah, man, I retired and, I went to the military and came back and did this. He's like, oh, cool. Like, I went there and I'm like, listen, bro, this ain't like,
no,
this is like financial stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, okay, no, like you have to like,
to talk to
and they were cool with it. Yeah. Like, don't be like, all right, this is the big one.
Good. And the other thing I see a lot on the Fed side, at least, is they don't want to tell the feds or tell the locals what they're doing.
Oh my God.
I'll never understand that. They're like so secretive. I'm like, if it's that secretive, then don't ask them for help.
The only time I understood that was the FBI we were doing something with them. And he's like, yeah, we can't really discuss that. It's a public corruption thing. I'm like, got it. Understand the political ramifications from it. Or like a massive national security thing. Like,
yeah.
But like
90% of what we do, that's the same.
With state, it's like it's passport visa fraud, dude. It's not bin Laden.
Yeah, let's calm it down. Yeah, calm it down. Yeah, the money launderers or whatever it is. Let's tighten it up. So anyway, no, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of I mean, there's the stories and the people I met, but that, again, for me, that's what I loved about law enforcement is the camaraderie, even with some of the backstabbing that we've talked about on the show many times, but the people that you find in your circle, like
it's
come
awesome.
to your circle, like those are lifelong friends.
Yeah. So how long did you do at the field office?
I did 5 years.
Okay. So then you go to your phase 2.
Yep.
And
I was on the detail in DC, and that's when I was like, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah. So
because it really changed.
Yeah. We're not going into that. We don't want to.
No, that's fine.
But
you just live in somebody else's life.
Yeah.
And I didn't see my kids for 3 months because I couldn't, because I just was gone. I was like, no, I can't continue this.
And this is the problem that some of these agencies and the Secret Service is going, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like, listen, dude, like you're a father. I'm a father. I understand I make sacrifices with this job.
Yeah, 100%.
Last time I checked, I still got a heart and lungs, and it doesn't work like that.
And again, it wasn't even necessary. It's like it's hard to explain because it's not even like I had great supervisors. I had all that. I had nothing but support. But it's just the nature of the job. Like there's not enough bodies. Like if you don't go there, then it's not. It's not going to happen, or you're going to really screw somebody else over. But it's like, okay, but I haven't seen my kids.
Yeah.
And again,
come on, you got to take one for the team.
Kind of, but again, I had nothing but support. Like I would go from a site and fly straight home, and like they were totally, or I would extend and like stack my, cause we try to get 2 days off each week, and I'd stack. They did a lot of things to help me do this, but it was like a pain in the ass. It's hard because I'm talking about the Secret Service because there's a lot of issues with it, but it's not the guys on working. It's not the line guys, right?
It's leadership.
It's the upper. They just don't get it. See any issue.
And I like to play devil's advocate. It's not just the services leadership.
Yeah.
It's the political environment. You get
100%.
You get politicians that want to grandstand and think they're more important than they really are.
Yeah.
And, that are just complete. They kill the morale. Like, I know it's your interview, but I like telling this story about when I was with DS and I went to Iraq in 2008. I did a TDY there. Dude, I went in the Marine Corps, but going as a government employee. It's like heaven. But I get tasked with, I'm in the green zone. Is that our time?
No, you're good.
I just heard a ding.
It might be me.
And I have to guard a Undersecretary of Near Eastern Affairs.
I like this story too, yeah.
Former ambassador to Macedonia, now North Macedonia. He's a bigwig in the state, bigwig. And he's like the type of guy that you want to guard. I remember he had to tell this guy was awesome. He wasn't a jerk, but the one foreign service officer, he's like, I forgot what I remember the ambassador's name. His name was Lawrence Butler. Amazing guy. Yeah. But I don't remember the FSO guys. He's like, I forgot what, say, hey, Tyler, don't open the door until the agents get out of the car and get set. Yeah. He was like he knew it. And I'm guarding him in the palace. It wasn't the embassy. Yeah. The new embassy was when we had one of Saddam's, and he's like, listen, you don't need to stick with me all day. He goes, I got your number. I'll call you and check in with you if I need you for something.
Yeah.
And he calls me. He's like, hey, Mac. He called me Mac.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Undersecretary. Yeah. Call me. It's like Mac. I'm like, yes, sir. It's like, I want to go over to the PX. I'm like, all right, I'll be right there. So I'm walking, and you know how you do it. Like, Protect, he walks in the front, and you walk.
Stay a little bit behind.
Yeah. He kept slowing up. He's like, Mac, what are you doing? I'm like, sir, I'm guarding. He's like, yeah, but I want to talk to you. I'm like, that's the type of guy he was.
And some of them are like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you, kings and presidents from huge countries and stuff would just talk to you like a normal human being. But hey, Tyler, we're going to go have breakfast. Yeah. And this is like, whatever.
Do you want me to tell the foreign minister story?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, okay. So I guarded I think he's since passed away, the Iraqi foreign minister. He was a Kurd. Great guy. I guarded him numerous times in the States. I still have a tie that he bought each of us from Saks Fifth Avenue. Mm-hmm. So I get there in Iraq, and I'm with Ambassador Butler, and we got to go to the Iraq Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's in the red zone. We get there, we get out. Guys are mean mugging us. The Iraqi guards, they're in their suits and they got their AKs and they're mean mugging us. I'm there. I'm a DS guy, and I have a Blackwater team. But like, little do these guys know that the shift leader is a retired Master Chief from the SEALs. The assistant team leader is a former Green Beret. My sniper is actually a Marine Corps sniper. Yeah. Like, I had the other guy, one of the other guys was a Ranger, and another guy was actually a LA County firefighter, but he went through and became a medic, and he was a medic. And I think, but I had legit dudes, like pipe hitters, dude.
Yeah.
and they're mean mugging us and stuff like that. So it's me and Mike Fernandez is the former SEAL guy, who's the epitome of special operations guy, like just always looked immaculate. But so we're going up there with the ambassador. They're all mean mugging. We get up there, they're mean mugging us when we get there. And you know, I just got my SIG, you know, because I don't have like, left all my kit in the car, but I had a vest under there, but like I was the agent in charge. So I had to stay there. They didn't want me walking around with an M4 and stuff like that. We get there, and so they're coming, and then like a bunch more guys come out, and they're like, I'm like, oh, the foreign minister's coming. And like, you know, so they're me mugging. Foreign minister comes, he was this big dude, comes over and sees the ambassador, sees me. He's like, does this, comes up and gives me a big bear hug. Yeah. And he shakes my hand and goes in there. And the Iraqi dudes all look at us. They all stop me mugging. They're like, what's going on? I'm like, I guarded him in the States a bunch of times. After that, we were like, good. Do you want some and this and that? Like, they're like, do you want to marry one of our daughters? Like, so it was like.
Yeah. Again, it wasn't my story, but similar story. The Secret Service was in Egypt, and they were working with the major of the military and all the stuff like that. And they just, again, a good advanced team will make those connections and those relationships. Go break bread, go have some, whatever it is you got to do. And so they were like, he was like, oh, hey, the Secret Service guys were like, hey, talk to the major of the Egyptian military. We want to go check out this market. Is it okay? Like, you know, because there's some rules and stuff. He's like, no, absolutely. What time? And they told him, he's like, okay, I'll meet you there. This is the major for their thing. They go there. It's completely empty. He had kicked everybody out. All the vendors were there for the like handful of guys. And he goes, please. And that's what he did. He wanted to make sure they didn't want to get bothered.
Never would happen in the United States.
No,
never. We had that with the Chinese mission there in New York on the 43rd Street. That they had protesters, and they go up to like the NYPD guys and they're like, you need to arrest them and push them back. And the one NYPD guy, this is told secondhand, the NYPD guy goes, you know, this is the United States. We have this thing called the Constitution.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
And the Chinese guy was like all mad because in China, they probably would have been taken and shot in the past somewhere.
Maybe, bro. I don't know.
So you go with Secret Service, and then you transfer to the agency that you and I met.
And I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, you're a rock star there.
Well, they let me, it's a smaller agency. I will say that again, once again, I'm lucky. I have a good team, good boss, and they let me do the certifications I want. I wanted to be a firearms instructor for 10 years, but every agency was like, oh, we have too many. We don't have enough. That's a whole nother topic.
And you get there and you're like, hey, you're going to firearms instructor tomorrow.
Go. Yeah. You're going, and whatever training you want, you can go get.
Yeah. That's like,
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I missed the agency. I'm not going to lie. I just didn't want to drive into New York City every day. Dude, I was like, I'm driving in and I'm 51 years old. I'm twice fucking retired. Do I really I mean, I'll drive to Newark, New Jersey or Philly. I just didn't want to drive. I would rather drive to LA every day from Jersey than go into New York City.
Are we good?
Yeah, man.
That was good, brother.
Yeah. I hope I didn't step on you too much and see, I'm telling you, bro, your story is fucking like, you don't get how fucking cool your story is.
Well, I'll end it with this. I appreciate you saying that. The whole origination of this podcast, besides all the other things, wanting to tell real stories, but it really came down to I wanted to capture the stories for my children on why I wasn't there.
Yeah, and
you're gone a lot.
I can imagine, and I
missed a lot.
You're a better man than me. I couldn't do it, but I look up to you. I'm like jealous of like the stuff you did with the detail, the inner, I love
some cool shit.
You did cool shit, and like, especially doing it with like not having a military background. Yeah. And you didn't step on your dick. You held your own, which was cool as shit. I like to attribute that to, I think, outside of your parents and your growing up, but from being a street cop, I really think that's part of it.
No, I
learned that.
I changed a lot when I became a deputy sheriff. I learned a lot. One out of you very quickly. Well, you either figure it out or you don't. And if you don't, you're out. One way or the other, you're out.
More flies with honey.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yep.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, bro. Awesome.